it's Brienne from the Hoppy Doxie, and today I'm going to show you how I do small batch mixes with the universal white or the clear coats to make different custom colors. So what we're going to be using are the recipe books, which are available in the CrystaLac Facebook page, or if you order a set of the pigments, the recipe books come with the paint or with the clear gel stain recipe books. And these are designed, if you can see, they are made to do 1 pint of clear stain, or in this case 1 pint of universal white, and then that's what the recipe is based off of. However, if we're using these little condiment cups to make smaller batches, these are only 2 ounces, and I usually make about 1/4 of one, so that's 1/2 of an ounce. And I don't know how to measure something that is 1/2 of 1/16 of 1/4 teaspoon. So what I've done is just converted everything into drops, and I just wanted to show you how I do that math, and then I'll go ahead and provide a document that shows what those drop conversions are. Something to keep in mind is this is just an estimate. It's kind of establishing a base ratio for your different pigments so that you know where to go with your colors, but it's just something that I do, and I hope that I can explain it so that you guys can start doing it too. So I'm going to move the camera. So if you can see, I have already picked out some colors from the recipe book. So we'll start with the paint. So this paint recipe book can cover anything that has a white base. So the universal white or the white Flippin' Awesome base is where you would start to get these colors. So the first one I put down was moss, and if you can see, let me make sure, there we go. 2 teaspoons of number 3, 1/4 teaspoon of number 5, and 4 teaspoons of number 6. So the first thing that I do is I write out my recipe, and then I figure out which one is the lowest amount. In this case, it's 1/2 teaspoon, and I make that 1 drop. So in this case, 1/2 teaspoon is going to be 1 drop of number 5. Then I go up from there. So 2 teaspoons is 4 times 1/2. There's 4 1/2 teaspoons in 2 teaspoons. So that means that I'm going to have 4 drops. And then 4 teaspoons, there's twice as many, 2 teaspoons is 4 teaspoons. So it's twice as many as that. So it's going to be 8 drops. So again, I just start at the smallest amount and then I work my way up. So peacock is the next one. It's 4 teaspoons of number 4 and 2 teaspoons of number 5. So 2 teaspoons is the lowest, so that would be 1 drop. And 2 times 2 is 4, so we would multiply it by 2, so that would be 2 drops, or twice as much. Now for something like this where you only have 3 drops total of the pigment, it might not be enough to get the richest color, but that's the ratio that you want to use going forward. So for every 2 drops of number 4, I'm going to put in 1 drop of number 5, whether that's 4 drops of number 4 and 2 drops of number 5, or so on until I get that rich color that I'm looking for. The next one we're going to go to is the gel stain recipe book. Now these can be used for both the clear gel stains or your extreme protection and bright tone clear coats. You won't obviously have the wood grain look that are in these pictures. That's just from the medium that you're using. But you can get all of these colors just by using a clear base instead of a white base. These do have a little bit more to them because they're using different shades of browns for the most part. But one of the things I love about this is you can do purple stains or purple colors and so on. So the first one I have, just since they're a little bit more involved, is the mahogany. So the mahogany is 1/4 teaspoon 2, 4 teaspoons 6, and 1/4 teaspoon of number 8. So the lowest is 1/4 teaspoon, so that's going to be 1 drop. And then the next one is also 1/4 teaspoon, so that's also going to be 1 drop. Now there's 4 1/4 teaspoons in 1 teaspoon, and we need 4 teaspoons, so that would be 16 drops. So then finally, the last one here is Purple Heart. We have 1, 1/2, 2 1/4. So 1/4 is our lowest, so that's going to be 1 drop. 1/2 is twice of that, so that's going to be 2 drops. 1 teaspoon is twice of a 1/2 teaspoon, so that's going to be twice as much as 2, which is 4. And then 2 teaspoons is twice as much as 1 teaspoon, so we would multiply the 4 to get the 8. So then we would have 4 drops of number 2, 2 drops of number 5, 8 drops of number 6, and 1 drop of number 8. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to do is just show you quickly how I mix these. So I use this silicone stir stick, and I'll give you a link to get these if you don't already have them. I really like them because I just let the paint dry and then I can just scrape it off, or they wipe off really easily and they're reusable. They don't introduce any sort of bubbles because they're a non-porous surface, so things like toothpicks are very porous and can introduce bubbles into your paint, and so I like to use these a lot. So what's really great about this is I can do a color match. So I have this purple glitter, which is Adore from the Glitter Doctor. And all I have to do, I'm going to be doing this for my base coat under my glitter, so I would want to use Universal White. So I'm going to grab my white base recipe book, and then I'm just going to see which color I would want to go best with it. And in this case, I think I'm going to pick Periwinkle. Okay. So periwinkle, the first thing I'm going to do is write out my equation. So periwinkle is 1/8 of number 2 and 1/4 of number 5. 1/8 is the lowest, so that's 1 drop, and then 1/4 is twice as much as 1/8, so I double that, so that's 2 drops. So that's pretty easy to start with. So then I have my Universal White in my squeeze bottle that I'm going to shake up really well. And then I'm not going to need a whole lot to cover my cup, so I'm just going to put a small amount in there. This will be enough to probably get 3 colors or 3 coats on a stainless steel wine glass, which is what I'm working on. So then the next thing I'm going to do is grab the pigments that I need, number 2 and number 5, and I'm going to give them a really good shake. So I just hold them together like this, keep my fingers over the lids, and shake really well. I already shook these a bit before this video, but you get the picture. Just give them a good shake for 30 seconds or more to make sure that all of the color gets incorporated. Okay, and then I like to use just a little piece of paper towel to take off the lids because they tend to have a little bit of goo attached to them, and I try and save my fingers. Of course, you can use gloves if you want. Okay, and then the next thing I do, sometimes the pigments come out a little bit faster than I want, and I don't want to have to keep adding more Universal White to compensate. So I like to put the drops on my stir stick, and then I put it into the Universal White or the clear coats, and I like to use this flat end. That's another reason that I really like these pigments. All right, so I need 1 drop of number 2. So I'm going to slowly put this on. There we go. So that would have been 2 drops, and now I just have 1. And I'm just gonna tap that in, and then the rest of it will wind up getting stirred in when I add the blue, which is number 5, and I need 2 drops of that. So again, I'm gonna do it over here, 1, and there my second one kind of fell off and didn't land, so then we'll do 2. You do kind of get air bubbles. So you can see that that is by no means an exact measurement. I can't guarantee you that my drops are the exact same size, but that's what's nice about this is I'm just working in such a small amount that I can go and add more pigment if I need to change the color up a bit, or I can add more Universal White if it's looking a little bit too rich, and I just really have a lot of room to work with here. So I don't think that I got quite as much red in this as I needed. I just had a small drop of red. So since it's down here, I'm just gonna start and grab a little bit of it to add it back in if it'll cooperate. Now you wanna stir these really well. There's a lot of white pigment in these initially, And it does take a little while for the pigments to fully incorporate. So you'll see kind of a dark color right when you first start mixing it, when the pigments sit on the top of the paint. But if you keep mixing and incorporating, you'll get a color that's more true. You'll see that most of these colors on the sheet are in the pastel range, and that's because you're starting with a white base. So if you want more of a darker color, that's when you go and switch over to your clear coats for your mixing. Okay, so my ratios were just a little bit off. You can see here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add, because I want a richer color, I'm just going to add more in that same ratio. So I'm going to do 2 drops of number 5 after I get rid of my little air bubble. There's 1 and 2 by accident. And then 1 drop of number 2. Okay. And then I'm going to mix those again. So this is what I mean by if you start with a smaller amount of total drops, you may need to double the recipe that you create to get the richer color, because you are working against the white that's already in the universal white pigment. Okay, so look at that. That looks much closer to our color. So here, periwinkle was the color we were going for, and we're right there. And if you look with my glitter, that'll be a really nice base to complement the glitter color, so that any sort of gaps or anything aren't going to show through. And I'm ready to go. So then, in order to store this, the condiment cups, you can keep them in these condiment cups, but I've found that the plastic lids that they come with aren't the most airtight. And if you have that situation where you get into your paint after maybe a week or two and it's kind of gluggy, it's because a lot of the water has started to evaporate, and you can actually just add a little bit of water, just a couple drops, and reincorporate it into the paint, and you'll be good to go. But if you want to avoid that, I just put a small piece of saran wrap, or what I really like is the Glade Press and Seal, and then I put the lid on top of it, and that gives it a really nice airtight seal, but still maintains these very, very affordable, cheap little cups that I can just kind of store and keep with all of my different paint mixtures. So I will post a link or a document with the drop conversions for all of these recipes. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Let me put you guys back up here so you can see me. There we go. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments or find me on Facebook. And if you have any questions about CrystaLac and what the products are, go check out the CrystaLac for Tumblers and Crafts Facebook page. And I will also give you a link so that you can go and buy the pigments and the universal white, and you can start playing around and have a lot of fun. All right, thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting.